Ever feel that pull? Like the Himalayas are whispering secrets, hidden valleys, ancient wisdom, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Shambhala, Shangri-La, thanks to James Hilton, right?
Right.
I bet you're like us. You hear that and you're like, tell me more. But not a whole encyclopedia,
Huh, yeah. Quick and fascinating, right to the good stuff.
Those aha moments are the best. And that's exactly what we're going for today.
Absolutely. We're diving deep into the mystery of Shambhala and other mystical spots in the Himalayas. But not through fiction this time.
Okay, so no Indiana Jones.
Haha, not this time. We're going to see it all through the eyes of a spiritual teacher. We'll call him Guruji.
Sounds intriguing. Where are we getting this info from?
We're using excerpts from a YouTube video transcript. It's this really captivating conversation where Guruji shares his perspective.
So like a first-hand account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not some dusty history book or a dry scientific paper. It's straight from someone who's deeply connected to this stuff. Ancient practices, yogic disciplines, those kinds of things.
This is starting to sound like some really extraordinary experiences.
It is, and we're going to navigate all those intriguing ideas, unpack the concepts, figure out what might be legend and what Guruji actually experienced,
So think of this as your personal guide through a fascinating conversation.
I like that. A guided tour of the mystical.
So Guruji starts talking about these parallel existences. It's like there are all these worlds right here on Earth, like in the same air we're breathing.
Yeah.
That's pretty mind-bending.
It is, isn't it? And he says they don't interact because they're on different layers or like different wavelengths.
Okay, I'm going to need a little help with that one. How do we even begin to understand that?
Well, Guruji tries to make it relatable. He uses the analogy of like human hearing versus a bat's. So humans, we can't hear those really high-pitched sounds, the ultrasonic stuff, right?
Right. Bats use that for echolocation, don't they?
Exactly. So just like we can't perceive those bat sounds, Guruji suggests our senses are only tuned to a limited part of reality. It's like there's a whole range of frequencies we're just blind to.
So these other worlds could be vibrating at frequencies we just can't pick up on.
That's the idea. Makes you wonder about what's actually out there, right? Beyond our normal senses, I mean.
It really does. So if we can't just see or hear these other worlds, how do we even begin to perceive them?
Well, Guruji talks about developing our inner instrument through spiritual practice. Like, we need to upgrade our perception from the inside out.
Ah, okay. So it's more about inner development than anything external.
Right. He uses the example of Saturn's rings. You can't see them with the naked eye. You need a telescope, right?
Right.
So developing our inner awareness, it's like building that spiritual telescope so we can see those realms that are hidden from our normal sight.
Okay, let's get to the heart of the matter. Shambhala. Most people picture it as Shangri-La, amazing palaces, waterfalls, this perfect hidden paradise.
Yeah, that's the popular image.
But then Guruji comes in and describes Shambhala as a real place, a mystical place, with highly realized yogis living there. So what's the difference between those two ideas?
Guruji's saying it's not a physical place you can just stumble upon. It's hidden. And you need to achieve a certain level of spiritual merit to access it. He's not talking about some secret map. He's talking about inner attainment.
Makes sense. And there's something else he mentions, an increase in sightings of sadhus, Mahatmas, saints.
Oh, right. And some believe that's connected to the ends of Kaliyuga.
Kaliyuga. For listeners who might not be familiar, could you explain that a little?
Sure thing. In Hindu cosmology, Kaliyuga is like this long period of spiritual darkness, decline, And its ending is supposedly marked by huge spiritual shifts and transformations.
So more activity in the mystical realm.
Got it. And Guruji's description of Shambhala itself is so interesting. He calls it a Gandharva Nagar. It's like a city that's constantly changing, like those images you see if you close your eyes near a bright light. Kind of fleeting,
Yeah, it's not like a fixed city.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the whole Gandharva Nagar idea so interesting. It's fluid, almost like a dream. And Guruji points out that you can't just show up and enter a place like that. It depends on your patrada, your spiritual readiness, right?
Exactly. He uses this great analogy about visiting a king. You can't just walk into the palace, right? It depends on the king's permission and your relationship with him.
I see. So it's not about finding Shambhala on a map. It's about having that inner resonance, that spiritual worthiness.
That's it. Now, this brings us to something else that's really fascinating.
What's that?
The Sukshma Sharira.
The subtle body.
Yes. And its ability to travel to these other realms. Guruji actually talks about his own experiences with this kind of travel, under the guidance of his guru, of course.
This sounds amazing, but also kind of risky, to be honest.
That's exactly what Guruji warns about. Traveling with the Sukshma Sharira without the right guidance. He compares it to a plane losing contact with air traffic control, like you're flying blind. Could be disastrous.
So it's important to have a qualified guide for these kinds of advanced spiritual practices.
Absolutely. Guruji really emphasizes that. He warns about the dangers, like losing control of the subtle body, or encountering energies that are too powerful for you to handle.
So no DIY on this one, huh?
Definitely not. You wouldn't try to perform surgery on yourself, would you? It's the same principle. You need an expert.
That makes a lot of sense. And it seems like this idea of tapasya keeps coming up. Intense spiritual practice, right?
Right. Guruji makes it clear that reaching these higher states and accessing these realms takes serious effort and dedication.
It's not just about wishing it would happen.
Exactly. He's seen so many people who are drawn to the idea of spiritual powers or those mystical experiences, but they aren't willing to put in the work.
That reminds me of something else Guruji talks about, the Siddhis. Those spiritual powers you can develop, they sound pretty cool at first.
Right, like superpowers.
Yeah, but he actually suggests they can be obstacles on the path to true spiritual realization. Why is that?
Think of it this way. You start developing these powers. You get insights. Maybe you can influence things a little.
Okay.
And it's easy to get caught up in that. It feeds the ego. You get attached to the powers themselves.
So you lose sight of the real goal.
Exactly. Like you said, you lose sight of the real goal. It's like being distracted by shiny tools when you're trying to build a masterpiece.
So let's talk about the Himalayas themselves. Guruji definitely sees them as special. Super energetic, he says. He even brings up the story of Ravana wanting to meditate in the Himalayas to overcome his durmati, his negative intellect.
Yeah.
So what's so unique about the Himalayas?
Guruji says the energy there is inherent to the location. It's like it's woven into the very fabric of the mountains, and it can have a profound impact on your aura.
On your energy field.
Yeah, exactly. And it can help open up those inner energy center, the chakras. But he also stresses that inner purity is essential.
Yeah.
You need to be clean, pure, inside and out.
So you can absorb the good energy without being negatively affected.
Precisely. He uses this interesting analogy about the strict cleanliness in an operating room. You need that sterile environment for healing.
Right, to prevent infections.
Exactly. So inner purity is like that. It helps you receive the benefits of those powerful energies without being harmed.
And building on that, Guruji talks about the benefits of actually visiting these energy fields to absorb that spiritual energy. He says it's crucial for purifying and even divinizing the body. So you're better equipped for yatra, to divya lok, those divine realms.
It's like charging up your spiritual batteries.
I like that. It makes sense.
You know, certain places are like concentrated sources of spiritual energy, and absorbing that energy can really nourish and strengthen your spiritual core. It's like a preparation for those higher states of consciousness and potentially for traveling to other dimensions.
Okay, changing gears a little bit, Guruji talks about what's happening in the world today. And he sees this as a major period of transformation. He notes all the unrest, but also points out that India is relatively peaceful. How does he tie all this together?
He calls it Manthan-Kal, a time of great churning, like a cosmic washing machine almost. He believes there are opposing forces at play. Asuri Shaktiyan, the negative destructive forces, and Daivik Shaktiyan, divine forces that protect the earth.
So the unrest could be a result of those two sides clashing.
That's how he sees it. It's like this cosmic tug-of-war is playing out on the world stage.
And then there's this idea about hidden yogis, powerful beings that are working behind the scenes, keeping things in balance.
Yeah.
Especially for India. And they do it all in secret. It's kind of like a spiritual secret service.
It is. And it suggests that maybe there's more to the peace in certain places than meets the eye. It's not just politics or social factors. It could be these unseen guardians working their magic, so to speak.
I guess I wonder who's really running the show, huh?
And Guruji links that increased activity in the mystical realms to these efforts to counter those negative forces. They're working overtime, it seems.
There was one part that really caught me off guard when he talked about weapons. He actually says they're like living entities with a built-in drive for destruction.
Right. It's a powerful idea. It makes you think about the responsibility we have for the things we create, especially weapons.
And he ties it to nuclear weapons, which is terrifyingly relevant today.
It is. He contrasts it with using that same atomic power for good, like generating electricity. It really highlights the power of intention. and control.
So it's not just about the weapon itself, but the energy behind it and how it's used.
Exactly. And then he goes on to suggest that divine forces are actively working to keep those destructive powers in check, to prevent, well, a global catastrophe.
It's almost reassuring in a way.
Right. It suggests that even with all the craziness in the world, there's something bigger at play, working to maintain some kind of balance.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners? What really sticks with you from all of Guruji's insights?
It all boils down to inner preparedness, that patrata we talked about. It's essential before you even think about seeking those mystical experiences or trying those advanced spiritual practices.
Don't dabble in the deep end without knowing how to swim.
Exactly. Guruji's warnings about experimenting without guidance, they're serious. These are powerful energies and realms we're talking about. You need to be prepared.
And he uses that analogy of the Ganga River, needing Shiva to control her descent to earth.
Oh, right. That one's so powerful, it perfectly illustrates the need for guidance and the capacity to handle those intense energies, whether they're within you or out there in the world.
It's a reminder to respect the power of those forces. Don't underestimate them.
Exactly. So as we leave you with all this to ponder, here's something to think about. What are your own motivations for exploring these topics? What are those deeper currents shaping our world, even if we can't see them? Maybe the real journey isn't just about acquiring knowledge about the mystical.
It's also about cultivating our own inner readiness.
Right. And understanding the subtle energies that affect us all. It's about finding that balance between seeking and being prepared for what you might find.
I think that's a great note to end on.
I agree. Food for thought.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time.
Take care.